The Greenwood Village Police Department recently welcomed 2 new canine officers to the force. Today, we'll be introducing you to Maverick and Mercury and telling you more about how they'll be protecting and serving residents.
So the Greenwood Village Police Department got both Mercury and Maverick from a kennel out in Little Rock, Arkansas called Von Kleinstein Working Dogs. They actually were shipped there from Bulgaria, so both originally born in Bulgaria. We flew out to Little Rock, Arkansas, got to meet the dogs for a week, bonded with them, saw how well that they would work with us, and then left them there for a month to get imprinted with narcotics. Then after that month went, we flew back out, picked the dogs up, and they actually taught us to work the dogs. So he's trained in methamphetamine, heroin, fentanyl, and cocaine.
Maverick's going to be what they call a dual-purpose dog, which means he looks for and apprehends suspects, as well as searches for and locates illegal narcotics. Currently, right now, he's already trained and we've certified in finding narcotics, just in the beginning phases of teaching him how to look for people, find people, and apprehend people.
So Mercury's job, they call him single purpose, but in actuality he does have 2 purposes. So his primary duty is narcotics. So that is discovering methamphetamine, fentanyl, cocaine, and heroin, and getting it off the streets. His secondary purpose though is to track missing and lost persons. Now we've had a lot of deployments on the street for narcotics. Thank goodness we haven't had a deployment on a missing or lost person yet, but he is trained in doing that as well.
Maverick was paid for by donations to Back the Blue Canine Force. That's an organization that's been local with us. They've helped us buy ballistic vests for the dogs, medical treatment for the dogs, and now they bought Maverick for us this year.
Mercury was sponsored through Charter Communications via the Greenwood Village Police Foundation. It's a great working relationship.
Like all officers in Greenwood Village, Maverick and Mercury will undergo rigorous training.
The training process from start to finish takes a long time, and it's always an ongoing process. So even when he's out working the streets, we have to train monthly to keep up his skills or teach new skills if we've come upon something that he's not familiar with or that we need to teach him a better way of doing something. We went for just 2 weeks of learning the dog, learning how the dog was trained, and learning how to handle the dog. Now is the beginning phases of me just teaching the dog from obedience all the way up through suspects. What we do in Greenwood Village is you have to be a police officer here for a couple of years before you can even apply to be the canine unit. The training process for me, I've done canine work for 21 years now, so fairly easy for me, but teaching a new handler, it's a huge difference because we go from being kind of a stoic level personality person to where you have to be very excitable and talk to them like they're a kid. Be very excited and energetic when they do something right so that they learn that that's the right things to do.
It's ongoing for any canine officer. Every day I get an extra hour where I could just work with him at home. Mostly it's obedience. He got imprinted on narcotics, back in Arkansas, so that's just going to be a continuing developed thing we do. But for narcotics training, we'll do that 2 times a month. And then there's yearly audits that he has to go through. He also will do that tracking 2 times a month. The training on my side was really easy. I had to show up, he does all the work. I just had to basically hold the leash, tell him to search and tell him to track. And I just follow behind him and make him look good. But really, he probably makes me look good. So Mercury, since we got them imprinted with narcotics in Little Rock, he's actually already on the streets. Now, he might not be perfectly obedient, but he is awesome in tracking narcotics. So he's had about 15 deployments in the last 2 months. So he's actually already working.
But it's not all work for these officers and their dogs. The handlers have a very close relationship with the animals because they also live and play together.
So currently they live in an outdoor kennel that's heated. It's a nicer kennel than most places have. But right now, for the first year, we usually keep them in a kennel so they kind of understand the difference between being at work and being at home.
It feels like you're taking work home initially, but after we kind of started bonding a little bit together, it is like having a buddy with you at all times. He still sleeps in his kennel outside. Eventually I'd like to move him in the house and he could just be a normal house dog. Right now we're keeping that very regiment where he comes home, he has his space, I have my space, and then we're together at work. He loves it in there. I mean, he has a pretty nice kennel. Plus, it's a lot of playtime. I have another dog, they get along great. He enjoys his time off. His favorite activity definitely is fetch. He can play that till I need to make him stop. Otherwise, he would just get exhausted, so I gotta call it quits.
The dogs will join Minor and his handler, Officer Juan Villalva, at the Greenwood Village Police Department. Maverick and Mercury will make a great addition to the force, and they and their handlers are looking forward to keeping Greenwood Village a safe and secure community. For GV Kids Inc. News, I'm RB Vignesh.